In the heart of a remote African village, where red earth kissed the souls of barefoot children and tall baobab trees whispered secrets to the wind, lived a young girl named Nia. She was not born with riches. She had no land to inherit, no gold in her hands, and no powerful name to carry. What she had, however, was something far more valuable: kindness, a fierce will, and a quiet dream of becoming someone who mattered. But dreams, in her world, were dangerous things. Nia's story is not just a tale, it is a storm, a fire, and a triumph wrapped in one. It's the kind of story that makes your heart ache and swell, the kind you never forget. For this is the story of a girl who was thrown out like she was nothing, bullied, beaten, and abandoned. And yet, years later, she returned to the very doorstep that once turned her away. But she did not return. Broken, she returned a millionaire. This is the untold story of pain, hope, and destiny. The story of a girl who turned her scars into stars. Nia was born on a rainy evening in a crumbling clay house at the edge of Zambola village. Her mother, a gentle woman with soft eyes, died, giving birth to her. That very night, the skies cried louder than the mourners. Her father, Kofi, named her Nia, which meant purpose. But for most of her childhood, she was treated like she had none. Kofi remarried when Nia was only 4. Her new stepmother, Adisa, was a woman whose smile was as false as a masquerade. She brought 2 children of her own, and from the moment they arrived, Nia's world turned into a battlefield. At first, it was small things: missing food blamed on her, clothes mysteriously torn, chores doubled for no reason. Nia, though hurt, kept quiet. She believed that patience and goodness would protect her. But in Adisa's house, goodness was seen as weakness. By the time Nia was 10, she was waking before dawn to fetch water from the river, sweep the compound, and cook meals she was barely allowed to eat. Our step-siblings, Kwaku and Yara, did nothing but complain about her. They mocked her clothes, her hair, her silence. Her father, once a proud farmer, had grown tired. He no longer asked how she was doing. He no longer saw the bruises. Or perhaps he chose not to see them. One afternoon, Kwaku broke a clay pot after playing football in the kitchen. The pot had belonged to Adisa's late mother and was said to be a family treasure. When she found it shattered, she screamed so loudly the neighbors came running. Without asking who had done it, she pointed at Nia. "She's a cursed child. Bad luck follows her like flies to garbage." Adisa screamed. Nia tried to explain, but her words were cut off by a slap that echoed through the walls. That night, during a long silence at dinner, her father looked at her with empty eyes and said, "You bring too much trouble into this house. Nia, you are not welcome here anymore." Just like that, Nia didn't cry. She walked to the corner of the room, packed the few items she owned into a torn bag, an old wrapper, a wooden comb, and a tiny necklace her mother had left her. She looked at the only home she had ever known, the home that never really felt like one, and walked into the darkness. No one stopped her. She walked barefoot through the cold night, guided only by moonlight and memories of her mother's lullabies. She had no place to go, no friend to call, and no one waiting. But she had her will. She had her purpose. She slept under a tree near the village stream that night. Her stomach growled, her bones ached, and her heart felt like it had shattered into 1,000 tiny pieces. But somehow, even in that painful silence, she whispered to herself, "I will survive. I will not disappear." By dawn, Nia rose, brushed the dust off her dress, and took her first step toward the unknown, to the city, to hardship, to growth, and eventually, to greatness. The city of Mombasa was loud, sprawling, and indifferent. When Nia arrived, she stood frozen at the edge of the bustling marketplace, staring at a world that moved too fast for a girl with torn slippers and an empty stomach. She had no relatives here, no map, no money, just her name and a hunger for food. and for something greater. The market vendors shouted over each other, offering fresh yams, smoked fish, ripe plantains. The smells made Nia dizzy. She had not eaten since the morning before. She walked through the maze of stalls, hoping for scraps. A kind fruit seller, an old woman with tired eyes, caught her staring at a basket of mangoes. "Are you hungry, child?" the woman asked. Nia nodded. The woman handed her a small mango. "Eat, then go find your way." It was the sweetest fruit Nia had ever tasted. That night, she found a corner near a closed shop to sleep. She curled against the wall and wrapped her thin arms around her knees. All around her, the city hummed with life, uncaring. For the next few days, she wandered the streets. She begged for food, washed dishes in roadside stalls for a few coins, and cleaned gutters in exchange for bread. Each night, she returned to her spot outside the shop. Rain soaked her on some nights. Mosquitoes bit her skin raw, but she never gave up. One morning, as she struggled to lift a heavy basket for a fish seller, a soft voice called out from across the road. "You there, girl? Are you looking for work?" Nia turned to see an elderly woman standing by a small food stall. She wore a faded blue wrapper and had a walking stick, but her eyes were sharp. "Yes," Nia replied without hesitation. "Come, help me clean this place." The woman's name was Mama Tendo. She ran a tiny eatery where laborers came for fufu and a goosey soup. Nia cleaned floors, washed plates, carried water, and wiped tables without complaint. Mama Tendo watched her for days. Then one evening she said, "You work like someone with something to prove." "I have nothing to prove," Nia replied, "only something to become." Mama Tendo smiled. "Then you'll stay here. I'll feed you. You'll sleep in the storeroom, but you must keep working hard." That tiny eatery became Nia's new world. She learned how to cook spicy stews, fry plantain crisps, and serve customers with a smile. She also learned how to count money, record orders, and manage supplies. Mama Tendo began teaching her how to read and write at night. They used old newspapers and leftover notebooks. "A woman must know how to read contracts," she said, "especially if she plans to be more than a servant." Nia soaked up every lesson like dry ground soaking rain. She began to dream again, not of revenge, but of rising. When she turned 17, Mama Tendo fell ill. The doctors said her heart was weak. One evening, while lying on her mat, she took Nia's hand. "You remind me of myself, strong, brave, and stubborn," she coughed. "Don't waste your fire, Nia. Build something with it." "I will," Nia whispered, tears in her eyes. After Mama Tendo passed, Nia used her small savings to rent a wooden kiosk by the road. She started her own tiny food stall. She named it Tendo's Flame. The early days were hard. She often had to fight for customers. Bigger stalls mocked her. Sometimes she barely sold enough to cover her ingredients. But Nia didn't stop. She kept cooking, kept smiling, kept believing. One day, a man in a fine suit stopped at her stall. He ordered a plate of jollof rice and suya. After eating, he licked his fingers and said, "That's the best meal I've had in this city." He handed her a card. "I own a chain of restaurants. Come see me. We may have room for talent like yours." Nia stared at the card like it was gold. She went to the address the next week. It was a large building, air-conditioned, full of men in suits and women with clipboards. Nia stood out in her simple dress, but she walked with her head high. The man gave her a chance, a small one, a 1-month trial to supply packed lunches from her recipes. She took it, and she delivered, soon. His business partners began requesting her meals. The orders grew, her food stall expanded. She hired 2 assistants, then 4, then 10. By her 22nd birthday, Nia was running a full catering service. She rebranded. Flame of Purpose became her official company, and Naya was no longer the girl who slept outside a shop. She was a businesswoman, known, respected, and slowly, she was becoming rich. With every passing year, Nia's empire grew stronger. From one stall, she expanded to a full kitchen. From one kitchen, she built a network of food delivery hubs across the city. Each location bore the emblem, a golden flame, flame of purpose. But success didn't come without challenges. At 23, she encountered her first betrayal. One of her trusted managers had been stealing from the business, altering records and pocketing funds. The loss almost sank a new outlet she had opened near the university. It shook her deeply. For the first time since she left the village, Nia doubted herself, but she remembered Mama Tendo's words, "Don't waste your fire. Build something with it." She didn't fire the man immediately. Instead, she confronted him privately. "You took from someone who once had nothing," she said. "You won't steal my future. You're dismissed, but I won't curse you. You've already cursed yourself." She strengthened her system, hired a team of honest accountants, and began mentoring young women from disadvantaged backgrounds. Girls, just like she had once been. She opened a small culinary school named Tendo Academy. The first class had only 7 students. A year later, it had over 100 by 25. Naya was featured in a local magazine as one of the most inspirational entrepreneurs under 30. She was invited to speak at conferences, women's groups, and even international youth panels. Her story resonated across borders, how a girl chased out by her family rose to build an empire of flavor and strength. And yet, in all her glory, she never forgot her roots. There were nights she still woke up from dreams where her stepmother screamed at her, where her father's face remained blank and cold. She didn't hate them, not anymore. But she hadn't forgiven them either, not yet. One cool Harmattan morning, as she sat on her office balcony overlooking the city, sipping hibiscus tea, her assistant rushed in with a letter. "It's from Zambola village," she said quietly. Nia's heart froze. The letter was handwritten. The paper was rough and the handwriting shaky. "Nia," it began. "I don't know if you'll ever read this, but I hope you do. Your father is dying. He's asked to see you. He says he needs to tell you something before his last breath. Please come. We were wrong. Please come home." It was signed by her stepsister Yara. For a long time, Nia said nothing. She folded the letter carefully and stared out at the sky. The city that had made her strong suddenly felt small. She had vowed never to return to that village. She had sworn to erase it from her mind. But here it was again, calling her back, not to destroy her, but perhaps to heal her. 3 days later, she packed a small overnight bag, put on a simple dress, and instructed her driver to take her to Zambola. The journey was quiet. The road was long and dusty. As they passed the tall baobab tree near the entrance of the village, memories flooded back. The place hadn't changed much. Clay houses, children running barefoot, the scent of wood smoke in the air when she stepped. Out of the car, villagers stared. They whispered, "Was that Nia? The girl they chased out? The girl who was nothing. Now she was everything." Her father's house looked even smaller than she remembered. She stepped through the compound gate, and there he was, lying on a mat, thin, gray, and breathing heavily. Adisa sat beside him, her face aged by time and guilt. Her step-siblings stood silently at the door. Nia walked in. The silence was thick. Kofi looked at her with tired eyes. His lips trembled. He struggled to sit. "I thought I'd never see you again," he said. "You look like your mother, even stronger." Kaya said nothing. "I wronged you, Nia. I failed you as a father. I let others break you when I was supposed to protect you." Tears filled his eyes. "I don't have the right to ask anything, but I wanted to tell you." Your mother made me promise to protect you. I broke that promise. And I have lived with that shame every day. Nia felt her throat tighten. For a long moment, she stared at the man who had once thrown her into the cold night. Then, she bent down, took his frail hand in hers, and said softly, "I survived, and I forgive you." He wept, so did Adisa, and the entire room, once filled with bitterness, cracked open with something new healing. Nia stayed for 2 days. She walked through her old village, greeted the elders, and gave a speech at the community square. She donated funds to build a school and renovate the clinic. She announced she would open a new branch of her culinary academy in Zambola. She wasn't just returning to forgive. She was returning to lift others. Before she left, a little girl approached her. "Are you the woman who was chased away but came back rich?" The girl asked shyly. Nai smiled. "I'm the woman who never gave up." The news of Nia's return spread across Zambola like wildfire. The girl once mocked, scorned, and cast away had not only forgiven, but had come bearing gifts. No one in the village could believe it. Not the elders who once turned a blind eye. Not the women who had gossiped about her misfortunes. Not even the children who now pointed at her in awe. She held a community meeting under the old baobab tree, the very one she had slept under the night she was thrown out. "This tree knows my story," she began. The villagers fell silent. I sat beneath it with nothing but pain. And yet today, I stand before it not to curse the past, but to plant a future. She announced the establishment of 2 major projects: a modern primary school for children in the village and a culinary training center for girls and young women. "I don't just want to give you fish," she said. "I want to teach you how to cook it, season it, and build a future from it." The village chief stepped forward. His voice cracked as he addressed her. "You honor us, Nia. You remind us that a rejected stone can become the foundation of a great house." Applause followed. Tears flowed. Songs were sung. Children danced, but not everyone was joyful. That night, while sitting outside the guest house, Yara, her stepsister, approached quietly. "I wanted to hate you," Yara admitted, "for being stronger, for surviving. But I'm sorry. I was a coward. I followed our mother's cruelty because I didn't know how to fight it." Naya looked at her, this woman who once mocked her for wearing torn clothes, who had laughed when she was chased away. "You were a child," Naya said gently. "Like I was. We were both victims. But now we can choose not to be." Yara broke down. "Can you ever forgive me?" "I already have," Nia whispered. They embraced for the first time as sisters, not enemies. Before leaving Zambola, Nia visited her mother's grave. She knelt in the grass and placed her palm on the old headstone. "I made it, Mama," she whispered. "Not just in wealth, but in spirit. I didn't let the world break me." A soft breeze passed over her skin like a blessing. Back in Mombasa, things moved faster than ever. Nia's return to her village became a national headline. From rejection to riches, Nia's journey was the title of the most shared article. Of the week, major investors approached her with offers to franchise her brand. International conferences invited her to speak. Nonprofits wanted to partner with her for rural development, but amidst the noise of success, Nia remained grounded. She remembered where she came from. She set up a scholarship fund for orphans. Girls. She partnered with local farmers to source ingredients for her food brand. Empowering rural economies, she wrote a book, part memoir, part guide, titled Flame of Purpose. It became a bestseller across the continent at the launch. She spoke to a crowd filled with young girls, entrepreneurs, and former street children. "Your past," she said, "is not your prison. It's your ingredient. Add it to your journey. Season it with hope and cook a life worth remembering." By the age of 28, Naya was one of the most influential women in Africa. She wore no crown, but she had earned the respect of a continent. She didn't need to boast. Her legacy spoke for her, and still, she lived simply. Her mansion was elegant, but warm. Her clothes were fine, but modest. She gave more than she spent. She smiled more than she frowned. And everywhere she went, she left a trace of light behind. One day, a journalist asked her, "If you could change your past, if you could erase the pain, the rejection, the suffering, would you?" Nia paused for a long moment. Then she answered, "No, because the fire that nearly destroyed me is the same fire that forged me." Years rolled by, and Nia's name became more than just a brand. It became a symbol of resilience. In cities, villages, and even across oceans, young women named their daughters after her. Mothers told their children her story before bed. Schools used her journey as a case study on determination, but to Nia, legacy wasn't about fame. It was about impact. One morning, she visited the first food stall she ever opened, the little wooden kiosk she had once rented after Mama Tendo passed away. It stood there still, although now preserved as a historical monument by the city. Children gathered around her, and she told them stories of how she used to sleep under broken tables, cook with firewood, and chase dreams no one believed in. "This," she said, pointing to the stall, "is where I learned that purpose is not given, it's built, one step at a time." Nia continued expanding her empire, but she also began retreating slowly from the spotlight. She trained others. She created leaders. She gave platforms to those who had none. In time, her school in Zambola produced doctors, teachers, architects, and chefs. Her culinary academy in the city birthed award-winning entrepreneurs who credited her for their success. But her most cherished achievement came when she adopted 3 orphaned girls from the street, just like she once was. She raised them not just with money, but with love. And each of them, in their own way, grew up carrying her legacy forward. Then came the day she received a letter. It was from the national government. They wanted to honor her with the Flame of Africa Award, a rare lifetime achievement award given to citizens who had transformed society. At the ceremony, the audience stood as she walked to the podium in a golden dress embroidered with her mother's name, her village's name, and the word that had carried her through every storm. Purpose. She stood tall, her voice calm, her eyes glowing with emotion. "I was once a girl who had nothing. No mother, no shelter. Not even the love of the people who brought me into this world. I was bullied, humiliated, thrown out like waste. But the world underestimated the power of a soul set on fire." She paused. "You see, I didn't need revenge. I needed a reason, and that reason became my purpose. You can chase riches, yes, but without purpose, they crumble. With it, you build empires." The crowd erupted into thunderous applause. Even the president rose to his feet. That night, as she returned home, she sat by her window and stared at the moon. From that same moon, she once begged for hope under a tree in Zambola. Now, she whispered a different prayer, not for herself, but for every broken girl still hiding in silence. Let her know she is not forgotten. Let her see a light in my story. Let her rise.